Welcome to the Online Health Business Podcast. Today, guys, we've got a controversial topic. I'm going to let Mike's introduce this one, I don't want to get cancelled.
Let's do it. So, myself, Coach Michael, and today we're going to talk about why don't black PTs invest in themselves.
All right, so the reason we come up with this episode, there's multiple reasons, but I think one of the first ones I kind of said was that basically we've been on 4 different mentorships or more, mainly related to fitness, like fitness business mentors, and I think I can confidently say I've only ever seen one other black person on a mentorship, apart from Mike's, of course. And we've been on quite a few different mentorships. So clearly there's a disconnect because there's a lot of good quality business mentors out there.
100%.
But people that are the same skin tone as me don't seem to be on these courses. And we just want to talk about why this is happening, some of the reasons, like our own personal opinions on why we think this is happening, and some of the mindset shifts that maybe some PTs need to make in order to kind of level up in their business. And was there any other reasons we came up with this episode that you can think of? Or was that was the main part, right?
Yeah, that's the main thing.
So I guess really the first real step is to talk about like why do we think that this is happening? So Mike, what do you think?
So one of the main reasons that we think this is happening, and just as a little disclaimer as well, this isn't just for black people. This is gonna give awareness to people of all cultures and whatnot, but especially for black people as well. All right. So the first reason that I believe is happening is a lack of trust in mentors. Okay. Just as with the Jewish community, just as with the Asian community and other communities, whatever, we have our history. All right. And things live in our subconscious based on our history, right? What we've seen, what we know to be possible. So it's just a lack of trust in the mentors because yes, there's not many black people that we're seeing on these mentorships, but in the same token, there's not many black mentors that we're seeing in the UK.
Okay.
That's a fact.
Yeah. And I like how you said in the UK.
In the UK.
Because I've seen about 3 or 4 different fitness business mentors in the States that are black. There's one guy in particular, he was on like a Forbes magazine and stuff, talking about fitness business mentoring and stuff like that. And he's a young guy. And his whole thing is getting coaches to realize that they can charge more and charge more towards black people. Because a lot of PTs will say, oh, black people don't pay. They don't pay. So his whole thing is like breaking that mental kind of barrier. So yeah, you made a good point. I think to be fair, on all the courses we've been on, the mentor's been white. They have not been black. So I do think that does play a major role as to why there's no trust. Because I think, when you see someone that's similar to you doing it, you're more likely to kind of buy into them.
Yeah, it should. And look, it shouldn't be this way in hindsight, but it just is. And we understand it, right? We kind of understand it. And I think the only reason we was able to break that barrier is just our eagerness to succeed.
Yeah, and level up.
So it just kind of made us blind to all of that, completely.
Yeah.
And we're both quite outgoing in what we've done. Like, you've been out in America, like, you've lived in a whole nother country. Me, myself, like, I've been outgoing and lived in different parts of the UK, like, so we're both quite outgoing when it comes to doing what we need to do. So I think that's why we was able to just put all that aside.
But I got a question for you, bro. Like, why do you think, obviously we said maybe race might be one of them, like as in there's not enough black mentors, but why do you think there is a lack of trust outside of maybe that we don't see people like us?
A lack of trust in the mentorships?
Yeah, like what else could there be that makes us lack the trust in mentorships? Is it the way that we're approached in the DMs on Instagram or emails? Like, what makes you think, like, what other reasons could there be for a lack of trust?
That's a good question, man. The only other thing I could think is that I don't know the stats, all right? But I would guess, and I don't want to get, this is just a guess, very random, that most PTs are not coming from the middle and upper class. And which is it's going to sound like a silly statement, right? There's definitely people in the middle upper class that are PTs that are black, 100%, all right? But we do make a minority. We are a minority in this country, and just in terms of UK, just in terms of how many of us there are, and just in terms of the PT and upper class and whatnot, I would say that, you're more likely to lean towards a job that is, traditional.
Yeah, and I mean the average salary for a PT is below.
It's below
the average salary of like the whole UK.
So I think that the middle and upper class, if they are, hiring a PT or whatever, suggesting someone to be a PT, it's gonna be rare, and they're gonna, when you've been brought up in a way, you're gonna look at numbers, you're gonna be more privy to certain things, and you're gonna look at things that are just have a higher return. That's
and you know what though, and to keep it all the way real as well, to add to that, is that like it's not. I don't want to say it's a cultural thing, but there's an element where I don't think in in our kind of communities, there's enough people that have mentors anyway. So it's not something they're used to. Like, okay, I don't have someone that's generated a business and can say to me, okay, yeah, I generated a business because I learned from this person, which then gives me the incentive to be like, oh, maybe I should start learning from somebody. You know what I mean? Whereas in some of these other communities, and I'll say like Indian people, for example, and I'm not just saying them, but they're very business savvy, bro. Like as a community, they're so business savvy and they will support each other. So it's like for them, I'm not saying that they invest in mentorship. I don't know, but like I would imagine it's more likely that they would invest in a mentorship because they recognize the value and what they can get out of it.
Of course, because what you got to remember with mentorship is that mentorship has just recently been packaged and commercialized, but it's always been something present, right? It's
in different ways,
in different ways.
Now it's online, but before it might have just been a meetup.
It might have been before your father passing you on to his friend who does business and saying go and work with them, which is what Rich Dad Poor Dad is about, basically, in a way, right?
Yeah.
Went on to that's a mentor. So it's always been there, but like you said, the community, we just lack that in general. We lack that feeling of mentorship, and we can start doing a history lesson based on why we don't have that mentor mentality, and we're not. We find it hard to be submissive anyway, just because of the track record of what's happened. So that's kind of, I think, that's what we're sort of knocking on, to be fair.
Cool, man. So I guess one of the other reasons that we can kind of touch on is a little bit of ignorance and pride. And we can go multiple directions with this.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it real today, but it's for a real reason, and we're gonna hope to come to a real good place.
Ignorance. I don't even know where to start with this, because I think that I think a problem that many PTs have, and black PTs specifically, is that man, I know this already. What am I listening to him for? I know this already. Yeah, I'm already making money in the gym. Yeah, but I'm not talking about that, bro. Like, this is what you could do this to go online. I'll be honest with you, bro. I remember when I first started working in the gym, the gym called The Gym, and I was chatting to a guy. I was doing like the orientation because I was a new PT there, so the managers walking me through the steps, and then there was like a staff day, and there was a PT there, Jamaican guy, and I was telling him, because obviously my situation was different. I already had an online business before moving back into the gym. I had about 15 to 20 clients online, but I just decided I need to get more experience in the gym. And I remember telling him what I was doing, and I telling him my plans, like, and this is one thing I should never do, never open up fully. But he was cool, he's Jamaican, I'm Jamaican, let's just chatting. And I said to him, like, this is what I'm doing, and then he said, he was like, oh, I would never do that. He was like, I would never do that. I'm gonna stay in the gym, man. You make more money in the gym. I remember him saying that to me, and I'm like, bro, what you on about, bro? Like, what you want? I'm making more money online than I am working in here, but I'm just in here because I want to just get a bit better. Like, I want to meet more people. I never actually PT'd. He's like, no, I would never do that. And then I remember he's like, he was saying to me like, oh, do you think that's gonna work? I'm like, bro, what do you mean? It's already working. It's already working.
He says, you think that's gonna work? That's a different conversation, bro.
So I do think there's a level of ignorance, and they're not aware of what's possible with the online stuff, man. And then they don't stay open-minded to it. And that's not everybody, by the way. Obviously, we're generalizing. There are people that are different. But yeah, what would you say to touch on like the ignorance, pride as well? We didn't talk about pride. But
the ignorance and pride is a big one. Yeah, I'm gonna go in on it because I think that we're coming from a place, and this is one part of black people, but we've got to be honest with you, right? Like, there's not like, where's the most black people in the UK? What cities would you say?
London, Manchester, Birmingham.
Okay, so
probably the top three.
So mainly in the big cities, all right? We're still in a culture where we're just coming out of the staring at each other on the street. Like, now, this is us being real. Like I said, if you're a white person, if you're whatever, if you're Asian, whatever, you can learn a lot from this. Asian will relate to this a bit, so depending on where they're from. So we're still coming out of that, and that seeps into a lot of different things, right? So when you're doing that and you've got friction with one another, yeah, then you're losing out on so much anyway. You're losing out on so much. Even within friendship groups, there's not that camaraderie. There's not that just that togetherness of like, let's go and conquer the world together. So that's where the ignorance and pride comes from, because Mr. Man over there that you're just talking about could have really landed himself something special, because clearly if you was in that place to open up, you was in a mood of like, let's do this, let's move, and he could have been here with us now. He could have been like, just like, because there's food for everyone. Do you get what I'm trying to say? There's room for everyone. So he might not be with us, but he could have been doing X, Y, and Z. So I think that in general, just think of how we can, and I think the perfect example for this. It's funny, yeah, but I don't know if we can pull it in the video or whatever. But there's that TikTok, yeah, with a guy saying, "Oh, bro, if you ain't got money, don't come to the club." Do you remember that video with the young? It's a TikTok figure. We'll pull it on here, yeah. But he's basically like, "Oh, like if you ain't got money or something like that, don't come. Like I'm not your dad. Blah 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 blah. Right? Don't come nowhere. Like I ain't got no money for you." And then some other guy, Asian brothers, chopped it up. Right, it was a TikTok video, and he said, "Brother, you got to come, bro. Man's gonna da." And that was quite telling. It was like it's just a funny video, but it shows the mentality. So I'm not talking about handouts and all of that. That's a different kind of conversation. But it's just a togetherness, like, you know, as a general. So, you know, even aside from the mentorship, just togetherness. That's the deeper root.
Like push
we
each
can
other.
move further together. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like they talk about it in music where like artists feel sometimes they'll say like they treat them like there's only space for one of them to be at the top. When really everyone can be at the top. Not everyone, but like multiple people can have their runs at the same time. You get me? So sometimes I feel like that's what PTs are like. They don't quite push each other on a business sense.
The PT game, and just similar like the music, just not to cut you off, is very much like that. When I first jumped in the gym, I feel these gyms, they set it up like that. You know, they're taking big carts. They're putting you all in the jungle basically. Yeah, you know, fight for your food. A lot of them. Some of them are good. They got lists and they distribute it fairly. And then some of them it's just a fight, man.
Right.
If you get cool with that sales manager,
then you're getting
you're good still.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool, man. So obviously ignorance of pride. The next one is the lack of awareness. And I think more specifically, lack of awareness of what's actually possible online. And I would say personally, I think that I had this as well, but it didn't hold me back. But I had limiting beliefs about how much I could charge, for example. And I think those limiting beliefs is what's kind of stopping a lot of black guys and women to invest in the online coaching thing, because I don't think that they think that there's an online model that can replace PT and make just as much money. That's one thing. What would you say?
Yeah, 100%, man. I think that it's what you know, it's what you're used to, and when you're so embedded in doing something a certain way, so you've been in the gym, you've learned how to PT, you've learned how to, you know, what you see as now business, you've gone through this experience and you're charging X amount, whether it's £50 an hour, whether it's £100 an hour, whatever. You've almost come over a hill, you've like climbed a mountain, so you're very protective and you know, you think this is the way, I've done it like this, so this is great. And when someone shows you that there's something different, you know, you're just going to be very quick to question that and think, all right, you know, like, nah, man, this is the way I've done, you know, you're just attached, you're emotionally attached to it, basically. And it comes down to being open-minded, because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And that can hold you back, man.
And I think even there's a lack of awareness in terms of what to actually do. Like, okay, I need email marketing. What's that? I need a booking page. What's that? I need a landing page. What's that? I need a lead magnet. What's that? All these terms. Most PTs don't know what these terms are, by the way. So don't worry. We're not saying black people don't know what these terms are. Like, most PTs don't even know what these terms are. But the issue is that there's a lack of awareness of that, of what these things are. So they're not going to be able to trust a mentor if that's what they're putting out there as like, okay, this is a selling point to why you should join my program, is we'll help you with this, this, and this. But they don't even know what that is. So that's obviously why we're in the game, because we're going to come with something different. But so that's important as well, man.
Let me just touch on that as well, just to reinforce what we're saying. The reason we made this topic and we said this would be good to talk about is because we've been on so many mentorships and there's no black people there apart from us. Yeah, we're not just making this up. And obviously there's loads of mentorships, so like there could be, you know, but clearly there's a divide, there's a percentage,
especially in the UK.
Because also, just apart from what we've jumped in, we talk to people, of course, right? We talk to PT. How many PTs do you talk to? And like, yeah, this is my mentor.
Yeah, never.
But a lot of PTs now, especially since starting OHB Academy, there are people that, I'm using this mentor. I'm using this mentor. With the black PTs, it tends to not be the case. But, you know, I remember last time I was in Dubai, right, for the mastermind. Javen was supposed to come, but he wasn't feeling it at the time. He didn't want to come. So I'm in a room and there's literally millions being accumulated in that room, not even from the speaker. So you got to imagine, like, from you're sitting there thinking that there, you know, you can only charge £50 an hour. And now I'm in a room with millions being accumulated, no BS, no seeing it on a screen, on an ad popping up. Hey, yeah, I can get you 100 clients. I'm sitting then I'm talking the guy right next to me. He just cleared £333,000 the month before. So what does that do for my mind to know that, wow, like, it makes it real. Like I'm I'm just, and he's just telling me little things that he's doing. Like, I make my wife, my girl does this. It's real. It's realistic. So like, you don't know what's possible. And hopefully that, even just that little snippet of what I just said is thing. And you always got to work for what, there's always steps and you got to build up. And this guy didn't just start coaching or PTing yesterday, but it just shows what's possible.
Yeah, and that actually leads me to something that I think we'll probably end the episode with, not right now, but just the importance of mentorship. And one of the reasons I'm going to say is obviously that community of high achievers being around you. So there's another thing as well that we're going to kind of round this off with, and there's two main points is why not investing in mentorship is holding you back. Michael, I'm just going to let you run with that one.
Run on it, yeah? All right, so it's holding you back because I'm going to go back to my main quote and I'm going to put it on a shirt as well. So when it's out, please cop. You don't know what you don't know. All right. Sometimes I'll chat to Javen and he'll say, yeah, I'm just doing this like that. And I'm like, oh my days, I've been doing it the complete reverse way and costing me money. And what you got to realize when you're in a business, everything you don't know is costing you money. There's ignorance. That's it. Boom. Tax. So you're paying now. If you're on the PT gym floor as a PT, you are paying thousands now on ignorance tax. That's just the fact. It's just the fact. So that is the number one reason it's holding you back. And then let me just clear that up as well. So many of you attached going on online, like the person in the gym, probably with just extra work. Oh, man, I have to be online and I'm doing all these hours in the gym. Again, you're being ignorant, because what actually will happen is that you can go two ways. You can have this thing running alongside your PT business. So while you're here working and sweating, you're also making money here with a minimal amount of work, right? Because it's your knowledge, it's your leadership that people are paying for. And the other way that it can go is that you slowly bring this down in your own time as this grows. So you slowly reduce the PT, and you might even decide that you want to keep doing PT, right? You might decide that I want to still do PT, but you do it the way you want to do it, because let's be honest, once you get past 20 hours a week, PT it's not as fun. You don't get that essence anymore. It's hard now, because now it's interrupting even your workouts and this, and you're just standing up all the time, So once it gets past that, it gets hard. But with this, if you've got this coming in from your online, you can now be more flexible with your 20 hours. You can charge more, you can do less hours and whatnot. So you're literally missing a whole nother lifestyle, whole array of opportunity that you could have by learning just the key fundamentals of business and building an online business as well.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things in regards to holding people back is like the ignorancy tax thing is something that I say to people all the time. And to further add to that, I say that in a fitness context when I speak to guys, is because a lot of them will say, oh yeah, I know what to do. Yeah, you know what to do, but you're not doing it, bro. So that don't mean nothing to me. And I get that when I talk to men a lot. Like, I don't know what to do. I've been fit before. Yeah, you was fit 20 years ago, bro. So knowing what to do doesn't really mean anything if there's no action towards it. And then another thing as well is that, like, when you don't know what to do, you're missing out on money. And on top of that, if you're a PT, I had a conversation the other day, and it was a woman, and she's like a physiotherapist. She's really good at what she does. And we were just having a casual conversation, and she was saying, yeah, like most of the good PTs, they have some element of online stuff to their business. So if you watching this right now, think of your favorite fitness influencer or your favorite gym PT. I almost guarantee, like, if they're a good PT, if they're worth their grain in salt, they have an online element. It might not be full one-to-one online coaching. It could be online programs, because they got loads of followers. They can just sell programs. It could be something. It could be a weekly Zoom training. It could be something. But they're all PTs. The best PTs have an online element to their business. You know why? Because they can scale it. They can reach more people. Therefore, they can make more money. There's only so many hours in a week. So it's not that PT is bad or flawed, but there is a limitation to it. So, and before we get to like rounding off this podcast, I want to go back to one of the points I made before about why it's important that black coaches do invest in mentorship. And obviously this is not specific to black coaches, but we're talking to black coaches today. It's important because, and Mike's just mentioned it about the community and being in a room with people that are doing big things. I think that one of the best things about being a part of like an online group or online mentorship is like you're in a Facebook group, someone will post something about what they're doing and you're like, rah, oh, that's how they're making content now. Okay, I need to start doing it like that. Okay, they're on YouTube now, they're doing YouTube videos. Okay, like that, you might not realize it, but those little things could make a big difference.
Not to cut you off, can remember your point. That's why if any of you are thinking, oh, why are you lot doing it now? And like, why aren't you in mentorships? One, we are in mentorships and we're gonna continue to. But two, we've got each other.
Right.
So we keep we do the same
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So we've got mentorship in each other because we've both learned so much from different places. So he might be doing something a certain way and I was like, okay, right. And then I might be so yeah, man.
And
you need it.
And that's another thing as well. If you've got people in your circle that are in similar workspaces, you know, bounce ideas off them. Like get them to kind of give you perspective, even outside of fitness. Because sometimes it's good to get that second opinion. Like I spoke to my friend yesterday and he works in football, and I'll say to him that I think I just want to go full time with the business coaching, sack off the fitness coaching. He was like, he asked me, how much you generating each month? I told him my best month, I told him my worst month. He was like, you're mad. If I was making that money, I'm never getting rid of that business. He was like, even if you get someone else to run it for you. And when he was saying that, all I could hear was him. Because that's what he says to me. So I was like, okay, yeah, cool. I got to think about it now. So yeah, man, like honestly, like you need to have that community. That's why I think it's important. Don't think about all the information and what you're going to get. Think about the result that you're going to get from it. Because remember, when you buy coaching, you don't buy the information, buy speed. That's how I see it. So Mike's last thing, why are me and you changing the game? You give them the rallying cry and then we'll leave it there.
All right. So the reason we're changing the game is because we did this in mind. All right. I might get deep here, but just bear with me, right? As a whole, as a community, we need to level up because it's like a funnel, right? And there's people at the top, people at the middle, people at the bottom. So you got to remember the people at the bottom, right? There's kids. I've spoken to kids, you know, when I say kids, like 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds, that they're jumping into PT. And they're going to do exactly what you're doing now. So if you're a PT and you're on the gym floor and you're doing okay, but you know that this ain't life. Like you don't feel like you're living life. Well, you're just teaching the next, PTs coming up that's it. That's life, right? So they're just gonna follow your tracks, all right? Whereas they could be following we can set a different narrative to where we can be really successful from PT. And PTs are respected and a needed part of the community. Fitness professionals, it's probably the most important part.
It's health,
it's healthcare. It's healthcare. Like it does a lot more than certain other places and certain other aspects of healthcare. So where needed, we need to keep that role there. And if we're doing better, then we can keep it going. But also we can inspire the young people to do better as well. And another thing is that we're living in an influencer age. We don't need to be thinking that everybody needs to be an influencer, everybody needs to blow up. It's going to help if you can build a following 100%, but we don't want people to think, if I don't have 1 million followers, I can't do this, I can't whatnot. Okay, so this is about you. This is about you changing your life. This is about the people coming after you changing their lives. And the reason we're going to be different is because the one point I can say we understand, I won't say that we agree or that we do it ourselves, but is the lack of trust. I get it. I understand that you see a mentor and you just see loads. And for example, you're coming into the mentorship and again, you're just seeing that there's mainly white people on it. So you're thinking, okay, now like, should I do this? So we want to just represent us in that space. So that's why we're not going to quit our fitness businesses. Yeah. We're going to blow up our fitness businesses. We're going to blow up this and be that firm, just put our foot in that space and be a firm leaders in that space of business and fitness coaching, so that you know there's a safe place for you there where you can trust the people that's there. You know that, all right, cool, they're just like me. They started it. And just to round off on a point that's just come to my mind, there's going to be a slight difference. We're in a minority. We're a minority in the country.
Minority, yeah.
So,
and we've been where you've been.
Yeah, we've been where you've been.
Shoes, yeah.
There's some people that are not, this is arguable, but there's some people that are not going to buy from you because you're black. What do you think? What do you think? Not a lot. The world is changing. Listen,
yeah,
the world is changing.
Yeah,
but come on.
I have to agree. There's going to be an element of that.
There's going to be a small element. So we're not about making excuses.
It's not blame culture or victim culture.
We're not about making excuses.
But there is, like, some people are going to look at you and say, I'd rather go with a certain other type of demographic.
Boom. And if we're a minority, then you got to be savvy. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know how to do this. And that goes for another reason, because I've been in gyms and I know, look, mate, like, you know, my gym was in Essex, all right? My gym was in Essex, okay? So if the majority of the gym at the time was white, there's a white coach and there's the black coach, I'm somewhat limited. I'm somewhat limited. Just I'm somewhat limited. And even if it's not racism, but don't get me wrong, it might not be racism. It might just be, for example, if it was the reverse, if it was an all black thing and then there was a white, you're probably gonna go the person who you're more culturally related to, like that you can talk to and, you know, bang on about the stuff that you know. You're limited if you're just in the gym, in your local gym. You need to know how to expand. So this is something our community needs, and that's why we're gonna be leading the way.
Boom, I think Mike's has said it all, man. I ain't even got nothing to add to that. I ain't got nothing
Sure,
to
yeah?
add to that. That's it, man. That's it.
All right, cool.
So yeah, if you are looking for mentorship, or even if you just want to know more about what we have to offer, we're going to leave the link to our 0 to 5K webinar. It's just a 30-minute webinar where we show you the simple steps to grow your online coaching fitness, even if you don't have one. So hit the link. Honestly, I think that probably some of the best value you get for free, and it will give you the starting point. Like, it will give you the starting point. And when you get to that level, you need actual implementable systems. Know how to reach us. We'll leave a booking link in the description as well. OHB Academy podcast. That's it. Peace.